Hi everyone, it's Alan again from ABTS Training Services, London, England, on a lovely August day here in London. Um, so much for the weather forecast. Right, I've been asked a question many times recently on, look, how do I price my service as a freight forwarder? I'm starting a freight forwarding company. How much do I charge my clients? Well, of course, you must have really good faith in me and think I'm some kind of a genius because I haven't a clue. And I don't think anybody could answer that question. But not being too flippant about it, let's be serious, as the man says. Um, I can't tell you, obviously, but I will give you indicators on how to arrive at a price. So this small video is really an overview of costing, because basically the lower your cost, i.e. buying your freight, etc., the more margin you have to add on for your profit. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're not talking about profit, how much you're going to make, because I haven't a clue how much you're going to make. But I'm going to discuss how you price your services, and then that will give you leeway to look and see how much you can charge. So the very first thing is, and I'm really talking about the way I started it, and it worked all those years ago when I started my freight forwarding company. This is what I did basically from memory, many years ago, but from memory. Okay, you start off basically the basic question. What are my overheads? What is my cost to run this business on a monthly basis? So am I running from home? Do I have an office? Do I pay rent? You know what I mean when I say overheads. So work out your overheads for a month. And then you say to yourself, well, I got to make that amount of money just to break even. Forget about how much profit you're going to put on. You've got to make that much money just to break even. Now, a couple of things. It's a balancing act between different factors. So I'm going to look at those factors in a moment. But before I do, I'm just pre-warning you, never short sell yourself when it comes to costing. Oh, I just put a small margin on here. But no, you're going to give a first-class service, and in return, you want first-class profit. So never short sell yourself, okay? Now, starting off, and again, I'm just thinking back through the years, starting off, I used price penetration to get accounts. In other words, I went in small margins to get an account, okay? Now, a lot of people say, I don't go into on low margins to get an account. That's your business. I'm just telling you how I did it. I went in very small margins to cover my costs, plus to establish myself. Okay, so that's one way of starting off by price penetration. Now, another thing I did, I was very bold. And if the phone rang, and in those days phones rang, and somebody would say to me, "Alan, I see you're advertising in Lloyd's loading list for Libya. 20-foot box, electrical spare parts to Benghazi. How much, please? 20-foot box." And I was never ashamed to say to them, "What kind of quotes have you got so far?" Now you might think, "Ooh, you don't ask that question." And some of them might say, "That's a bit cheeky. You're asking me for my other quotes." And I always answered with the stock answer, say, "No, I just want to better any quote you've got." And it worked. It worked. Most times it would. They say, oh, okay, $2,154. And I'd say, any FSC or anything on top of that? No, that's just port to port or peer to peer sea freight. Yeah, okay. I can go out into the marketplace and look for something for you. So be bold. Be bold when you're dealing with your clients, and ask them, and say to them, "I'm only asking you this because I want to give you a good freight rate." And it usually works. So you say, I want to give you a good freight rate with an excellent service. Don't forget that, because you will find in freight forwarding there's more to life than low freight rates. People want service. They want hand holding. They want to be able to pick up the phone or ring you or send you a message or whatever, and they want an answer. So it's cost, yes. Yes, of course. It's cost. But it's service. And never forget that. As I said earlier, you give a good service, never shortcut yourself, never shortchange yourself. You give a good service for a good price. Okay? So be bold and say to them, I want to get you the best rates with the best of service. Okay, now the whole trick, and again, I emphasize, I can't tell you how much to put and what profit you should put on your cost, what percentage profit you can put on your cost. I haven't a clue, really, as I said, but I can tell you the secret to being in a position to put a large margin on your freight quotations. And the secret is control your costs. Control your costs. Keep them down, down, down. If you keep your costs down, as I said just a few minutes ago, you have more leeway to put a good margin on it. But if your costs are up here, you have a very small leeway for margin. And after that, you go up here, you're non-competitive. So the whole trick is to take that out of the picture. Keep your costs down. Okay, now how can we do that? So we're going to look at keeping your costs down rather than telling you, which I can't, how much margin you put on. So keep your costs down. So let's start off with sea freight. How do you keep, I've asked you for a quote, 20-foot box, Felixstowe, UK to Benghazi, Libya. And I go onto the shipping line. Now, how am I going to keep my costs down so I can put a decent margin on that? Well, the very, very first thing is for freight. And we'll talk about sea freight, and we can talk about air freight in a moment, but sea freight. Well, for sea freight, you negotiate your bill of lading fee, your FOBs. You negotiate those with the shipping line. Use consolidators for air freight. I briefly touch on consolidate. This, by the way, and here's the advertisement now. Here's where I do my plug. On our import-export course, we talk all about this, consolidators, etc., etc. But for air freight, go to a consolidator, a company that can give you very, very, very cheap competitive air freight rates. For sea freight, go to an NVOCC, a non-vessel owner common carrier, who, without going into the mysteries of NVOCC, they can get you brilliant competitive rates from a shipping line, the same line you wouldn't stand a chance of getting directly yourself. So you see on the sea freight and air freight, you're starting to bring your costs down or controlling your costs. You're using an NVOCC for sea freight, and you're using a consolidator for air freight. So we're beginning to now get those costs, push those costs down. Okay, push down costs means larger potential, larger profit. Okay, potential larger profit. Okay, always remember my little slogan. Minimizing your costs can lead to higher profit margins. Okay? Nothing too clever about that. Now, you've got to keep up to date with pricing. And I tell you what I used to do, but this is before computers, by the way, what I used to do. But now, let's be serious right now. Keep up to date. Look in tariff search engines. They're everywhere. You can type in freight rates to Indonesia from Hamburg, whatever. And they all come up. So it gives you an idea of where you should be setting your margins, or are you getting the best deal cost-wise? So use tariff search engines, and they have a thing like a freight rate index. You're all blessed out there because you've got Mr. Google. So, you can just Google off, you can spend hours getting freight rates. Okay. Now, I used to be very, very, very cheeky. And if you rang me and you said to me, blah, 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 about a 20-foot container to Benghazi, do you know what I'd do? I would ring other freight forwarders, 3. And I would say to them, I'd make a name up. Hello, Unicorn Trading Company here. Could you give me a freight rate for a 20-foot box, please, to Benghazi, electrical components? Yeah, certainly, Mr. Man. All right, they give me a ring. Okay, ring another one and another one. And you see, before I even go out to quote, I'm getting an idea of what's happening. They're all coming in at roughly 2-1. If I can suppress my costs, I'm laughing. I can put a decent margin on this. Okay, I hope you get the idea now of suppressing or compressing your costs. Okay, now, sorry folks, the phone went off there. The dreaded mobile phone, I forgot to turn it off, it went off, so apologies. So I'm going to pick up now again. And I'm going to talk about, again, we're talking about suppressing your costs to give you a bigger margin. I hope you like the hand action there. And we're going to look at third parties that are involved in your business. For instance, you might need, or your client might need, export packing. So you're going to have a local export packing company that can do that for you. Local transport. You're going to need somebody you can contact and say, can you pick up a consignment from here and bring it into my warehouse or wherever. Local transport. Okay. You're going to also, you will need to make an export entry, or your client, you on behalf of your exporter will make an export entry. An export entry basically in any country in the world, it's the same. An export entry is the exporter by law has to declare, hey, customs, I'm exporting electrical spare parts, value $20,000 and they're going to Libya. Now, your government needs that information to build up a picture of what's exported and what's imported. Okay, so export entry. Usually you can ask the shipping line to do that for you. But you see, these are items where you can keep the cost down. So you approach your third parties and you say to them, you negotiate with them. And you say, look, I'm going to always use you guys. So can you please give me very keen prices? So they're giving you prices right down there, which helps you build that little leeway between cost and profit. So you can get that profit up maybe to there because they're way out of the picture. So I hope you can understand, and I hope I'm explaining it correctly to you, that I can't tell you how much profit, percentage-wise, you can charge as a freight forwarder. But what I can tell you is keep your costs down. And that gives you a bigger gap to build up a profit margin, not like that cost tipping profit. Okay, keep these guys down, out of the picture. Okay, now also, you'll be asked to insure consignments on behalf of your shippers. So it'd be very wise for you to contact an insurance company or a broker and say, I want to become an agent for you guys. So you are allowed, in most cases, write up to a certain amount of money, insurance certificates, or take insurance on behalf of your broker or the insurance company, marine insurance company. Now, as an official agent, you enjoy a discount. See, keeping it down again, keeping it down. You enjoy a discount. So now you can look upon that discount if you're going into quote for me and you really want to get my account. That discount, you can say, well, I'm going to get £85 anyway, so I'll deduct £85 from my freight rate because I'm going to get it back from the insurance company anyway. So what did I say, or what I hope I said in this video is, sorry, can't tell you how much you should put on percentage-wise, but I can tell you the golden rule: keep your costs down. How do I keep my costs down? Negotiate freight rates with shipping lines. Use for sea freight NVOCCs who can get you brilliant rates. Consolidators for air freight rates, and then squeeze your third parties right down and get the best rates you can. Then, when you have your rates all suppressed, then you can start talking. Remember, you've gone to 3 other freight forwarders in the meantime and got quotes for them to Benghazi. So you know where you are. You know your cost is that. You know, on an average, this is what the other 3 are charging. So come on, I could go down there. Or if I want to penetrate that account on a cost basis, I could go down there. But you see, you have all this leeway here. So no, I can't tell you percentage-wise how much you're going to make, but I can tell you whatever you do, keep that gap open, cost down, and bring up your prices as far as you can to keep competitive. Okay, I hope that gave you food for thought. And I hope I hope my phone didn't interrupt you so much. But I can put that down to an age thing. I forgot to turn the damn thing off. Okay, I don't take life too serious right now, to be honest with you, at my age. The other thing, and finally, don't forget cross trade. Now, all the companies you export for, some of them import. And this kind of took me about a year in business. Maybe I'm slow, I don't know, to really suss out. And I would be with a client and they would say to me, yeah, we brought in some widgets from Japan last week. And I said, oh, yeah, really? And I was very, export, freight forwarding, exporting. And it took me a while to, hang on. My client is doing cross trade. He's importing as well, and they are importing as well. So I went back to them. I said, hey, just realize you guys are importing. I'd like to quote for your import business. So don't forget that. Don't be like me, spend your first year not thinking that some of your clients could possibly import as well. There's extra revenue. Don't be tunnel vision like I was and always think about, Mr. X exports and I want to get his account. Mr. X might import, or Mrs. X might import. And you say, hey, do you guys import as well? Yes, we do. Okay, tell you what, let's give you a bundle deal. Let us give you a deal for your exporting and your importing. Okay, so there's another way of getting more profit into your business, and not necessarily by exporting, by importing as well. And just finally, you might say, oh, that's all very well, Alan, but we're not an import agent. We're not even licensed to be an importer. So what? All you do is you go to a licensed import agent and you say, I'd like to give you my client's business. What's the deal? What discount? What commission can you give me? That's how you work it. Okay, I'm going to finish there before the phone rings again or the house collapses in on me. I'm sure one of them is going to happen here. I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you, and I hope it answered that question. Sorry, I can't tell you what margins to put on your client's invoice or your invoice to your client. I haven't a clue. I don't think anybody can tell you that. But I can tell you how to control your costs, therefore giving you an opportunity, a gateway to charge a maximum competitive quote. Yeah, as I said, I hope you enjoy this. Have a look at our website. It's on the bottom of this video. Have a look at our website. And for those of you starting off as a freight forwarder or contemplating going into the freight forwarding business, I say to you, sincerely, go for it. It's a wonderful, wonderful, exciting career. Never a dull moment. Look, grey hair, never a dull moment. And our export-import course would be extremely helpful to you if you really are a beginner. End of advertisement. Nice talking to you again, and keep those questions coming in, please. It's great for me. I can sit down and answer your questions here on a video. So take care, and see you around again soon. Okay, bye.